I rewatched The Princess Bride for the first time in several years a couple weeks ago, and I think the two things I kind of took away from it were love and courage. And I think love is another form of courage, kind of recognizing what we deserve, how we treat each other. And this poem just makes me feel brave when I read it. I wrote it last year. I've read it in front of a crowd just one other time, and I'm excited to be reading it again. So this is called Undiagnosed. I grew up bipolar, which means I am perpetually sorry, which means I am glass half full, half full, half full, then all spilled out, that I'm a body full of flowers that can't decide when to die. I am bipolar, which means that everything is something to die for. Like, they're not renewing Black Mirror, now's a good time to go out. Like, I am always surviving myself. My bipolar is trying to kill me, and I thought we were friends, and I always think we are friends until it is trying to kill me. My bipolar is a bad laugh caught in the back of my throat, a kind of choking joy, a cough that finds its way out in the turbulence of a bad swing. My bipolar is a surprise party host that forgets to turn on the lights after I've walked in, lets me search through the darkness for a celebration. My bipolar knows a joke that I don't know and tells me to wait for the punchline. For the punch, you take hits, and if you're unlucky, the hits become you. Bipolar means I live in a body that's a dartboard, that doctors have only ever seen my mind as a launch pad, as a site of correction, firing pills until they hit the target, performing psychotropic lobotomies until the medication's stuck, because bipolar means knowing communication is yellow strips of prescription paper, as party words in a blue hospital binder, a Bible of intention, a crucifixion at the bottom of the bottles. My bipolar is a stuck button, a jammed alarm. I will always be a little bit emergency, swallowing flares, swallowing I am bipolar, which means I was lucky enough to pay for the hospital, to pay for the word that will pay for the pills, which means I was institutionalized until they found the right syllables to stick. And isn't a diagnosis just a category for longevity and expiration date? Isn't a diagnosis a poem with no end, a verse that goes on and on, collecting fresh lines with each new exhaustion? I am bipolar. And when I review the memories of my youth pulled through the back of my brain, the sporadic nature of my temperament, recollections as long and charged as telephone wires, I can't help but wonder, how the fuck did no one notice until all my wires were crossed? And why was the noticing a spotlight instead of a searchlight, an exposure, a surge into the hands of septic strangers? The thing about anger is that when it wakes up within you, it is the loudest thing you will ever feel. And when you are bipolar, your anger is never justified. It is only ever a symptom. And there is poetry in anger, but there is no poetry in rage. And there is so much rage, because when you are bipolar, every laugh and every tear and every dream is a symptom, and so I am undiagnosing myself. I am not ill, I'm just a person that causes problems for myself and spends too much money and goes kind of fast sometimes. I am a person who chokes on their lightness, who searches for their joy in dark spaces, who is always surviving themselves. But I grew up bipolar. I grew up, and it's some kind of miracle that I did. So yeah, I'll wait for the punchline. And I'll swallow the hits. And when I'm ready, I will turn on the lights and pull out the darts and see if the flowers have lived.
Oh, come on.
Thank y'all so much. I got one more for you. This one I wrote this past week after rewatching The Princess Bride. And I only write about 2 poems a year. I guess this is one of 2. But I'm mainly a nonfiction writer, and I write a lot about being in mental health treatment as a child. I was in different facilities for about 18 months altogether, and I think when you're a kid in treatment, the power imbalance is so stark between you and the staff. But I think kind of the love that we held for one another as patients is really what brought us through. So this poem was, thank you, Adele, for the name, is called I See You. Tell me the story again of the bear on your nightstand that your best friend gave you the first time anxiety struck you like a bolt. Tell me the story of comfort, of hands catching you before you could descend. In my unit at residential treatment, the oldest kid is 17, the youngest is 11. We are allowed 1 stuffed animal, a few photographs, a journal that is read by the staff each night. Consequences are abundant, and every small kind blessing must be earned. Yes, the nurses will hang us with our words, and in our hunger for language, stories are a strangled gift, or the residue of longing, an unsung loss. But still, would you tell me the story again? how we get out of here, how our lives become air and we drink that sweet nothing of stillness before we leap across the hospital field and break for the horizon. The first time I meet you, you are shaking like a dog. You are stunned by captivity. I do not know your last name or your birthday or the way your name sounds in your mother's mouth, but I know you are kind. I know this. Because although friendships are forbidden and touch and love, you take a girl's hand in the beat of a saw without thought, without hesitation, and you tell her the story of the bear, of the peace, of something bigger clawing through you. You are fearless, and you come alive. You got a laugh like a car accident, a smile that begs to be lit, eyes like medallions, light sailing through the fog, but it folds so quickly in these conditions, doesn't it? Gentleness. And when anxiety strikes you like a bolt, they quarantine you in an instant, steal your journal, your bear, your photographs, your sunlight, lock you in a corner and refuse to let you rise. So let's charades the story of escape. You envision a departure, and I see the run in your eyes before you go, like the aura of a rain cloud before it starts coming down. You are coming down, on your feet, breaking through the steel doors, lumbering across the yard like a wounded gazelle, brave with every kick, brave as the staff snap you to the ground, melt your head against the concrete. I have never met a story I couldn't change. But this one hardens as soon as it settles. You are isolated, silent, sleeping on a dirty mattress on the day room floor, and your bear is still on the nightstand, soon to be discarded in the shed behind the building as you have been discarded in the darkness of the hall. You will be there for weeks, going pale, going empty. This story is wordless. This story is a wish for the sprint of you, the crash of you, but I am not sword-wielding. I'm not the courage of a handhold or a stray punch. I cannot storm this castle from within. I have drunk their poison, dodged the fire as it leapt from their lips, swallowing the metal of the nurses' voices. Yes, I am programmed to believe in our immorality. No consequences, our saving song, washed clean of myself, but desperation breaches in my soul, a flicker of momentum, and I worry this is all that hope is, a hunger. Hey, could this be our coming alive story instead? One where daybreak starts in our stomachs and by lunchtime we are all light. One where we run and no one chases, where our footsteps are made of glass. Could we meet by the ocean, sail into nowhere? Could I hear your laugh in a distant crowd and never think of you again? It is an unkind truth that the best version of the story is the one where we never meet, where we are always well, always free. But this intention, this hope is deeper and kinder than any love I fostered in wide open spaces. Yes, love is a banned item, fragile enough to land you in the dark, but we patients have other ways of saying I love you, like please eat, like come back, like I see you. And I know you anticipated healing before kneeling on the tile in pain. I know you are living in the busted promise of what was meant to save us, strapped to the edge of yourself, rotting through. I know God is a loose peg on the board of your life, but hands have always caught you. You are mostly dead, but slightly alive. I see it in your eyes. I have lived it. I have spent months watching children flicker out like flash bulbs, swallowed the wind of a breath finally taken. I too have been damned to the darkness of a hallway. I too have found the accident of joy on the other side of grief, thrown myself from sacrifice. I too have stood in the sand and hoped it would take me under. You are not special, but kid, you are special. You will come back from this. You will swallow the flames and come out swinging. You could not trust me then, but trust that I am braver now. I am living the revenge poem. I am longing and holding and hoping. I am haunting those nurses, coming for their throats, words sharpened and raw. Yes, I am living the revenge poem, so let this be the love poem. Please eat. Come back. I see you. I will tell you the story again. Tell you our brave. Tell you the songs I hear you humming in the dark. Tell you where we vanish when there is nowhere to go. How I will always, always choose the story where I meet you. Where I watch you weep in the darkness. Where I see laughter burn through your eyes. Where I write us free. I will tell you the story again. How we got away. How love was enough. Woo!